You're going to want to turn it out until you got free play, and then you want to lightly run it in until you feel it touch. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Hey, listen, man, we just spent the weekend up in Milwaukee for the Harley's homecoming. We went to the Jelly Roll concert, ripped through town, went to all the local dealerships, had a great time. Black Betty over here did a wonderful job towing my big butt around, but I'm going to tell you, I'm having a little issue with my clutch. And what the problem is I went ahead and extended my handlebars. As you can see, I got 14-inch meat hooks up there. And with Harley's new two-piece clutch, it's a little tricky on how to adjust the clutch, but it's really not. There's a lot of videos out there that'll walk you through how to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and get mine adjusted real quick, and I'm briefly touch on it for you. If you guys have any questions, drop questions in the comment section below, and I'll go ahead and take care of it for you. This is really super simple. Let me go around the other side of the bike and show you what I did real quick. All right, guys, never mind the fan in the background. It is hotter than Satan's taint up here in northern Illinois, but let me get a good shot of this for you. Okay, so this is your adjustment shaft for your clutch. I have extended handlebars on it, so I had to put the clutch extension in. That's why mine looks longer than yours if yours is stock. Basically, you got this red tube back here. Oh, there it goes. It just popped out. So what you want to do, you want to push this all the way down the side of it as far as you can, and then lock it in place like that. And what that does is it compresses the clutch cable, and I'll show you why. All right, that compresses the clutch cable so that you have all the slack in your lever now. So now you can go ahead, take your T27, pull your derby cover off, and then we'll go ahead and adjust the clutch, and I'll show you how to do that. What's up, everybody? All right, so basically you want to lay something down to put your derby cover on. You can use a microfiber towel. I'm using a Crown Royal bag because it's what I had laying around. You can use a paper towel too if you want. I'm going to go ahead and take these bolts off. I have already pre-loosened them. Be prepared for maybe a little bit of fluid drip to come out. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Alrighty. So this is what we're looking at. We have a jam nut in here, and we have an Allen head thread here. You stick an Allen wrench in it. I'll show you. All right, as you can see, I got a little bit of drippage coming out here. This is what I was talking about. It's not going to be a lot, but you're going to want to pay attention to that. So I'm going to take my 7/32 Allen wrench and my 11/16 wrench, and I'm going to break free the jam nut. You're going to want to use that Allen wrench to stabilize that center threaded shaft so that you can freely break loose the jam nut without anything moving on you. All right, now that we got the jam nut loosened up, what you're going to want to do is take your 7/32 Allen wrench and back everything off, okay? Now, this is going to be a real light touch. When you go to screw it in, back that jam nut off far enough where you can actually run it in without it stopping on the nut. You're going to go ahead and just screw this back in until you feel it lightly touch. Now, it's a light touch. You can go ahead and run it down in there if you want, but you're going to mess it up. Just go in real light till you feel it just barely touch. And I feel it touch right there. And I'm watching the end of my Allen wrench, and I'm thinking of a clock so that I know how far to turn it back out. She grabs right about it's okay to back it back off and run it back in. It's a feel. You got to get used to this feel. It's really weird. Every bike's different. Because I feel like it touches right here, but if I go a little bit further, I feel more secure with it. So that tells me the 12 o'clock position is where it needs to be. Okay, so from this position, like I said, you just run it in until you feel it lightly touch. And from this position, you want to rotate it, you back it out a half a turn to a full turn. I've had a lot of good luck with backing it off a half turn, so that's all I ever do. I'm basically in my 12 o'clock position, so I'm going to back it off 1/2 of a turn, and then I'm going to go ahead and jam nut it, tighten the jam nut. And that's it. There is a torque spec on this, but to be completely honest with you guys, I have been adjusting clutches on Harleys since the early 90s, and all I ever do is just make sure you jam it down nice and snug. I've never had an issue with it yet. Okay, I shut the fan off so you can hear me a little bit better. I realized after playing back some of this video listening, it was kind of annoying. But as I said before, it's really humid in northern Illinois. Now that we have our clutch adjusted, you want to release the pressure on this two-piece clutch line so that it goes back to, well, it goes home. In order to do that, we're just going to pop this out and then release it. Press it back in. That locks it in place. Now you have full tension on your clutch lever. And then you slip this tube back over everything. I'm trying not to get my hands in the way. Like I said, I have an extended clutch extender on here, so mine is a little longer than the stock one. What the heck was that? That hurt. Life of a Harley mechanic, right? There we go. Okay, so mine's a little bit longer than a stock one, and anybody with extended clutch lever has the same problem I have, depending on the size, the length that you have, I should say. Okay, we'll go ahead, lock this back into position. Okay, it's easier than it looks. I just ran into probably every possible hang up that you could come into, including having a retainment clip shoot off at me. This just goes down here on the bottom and it just pops right on. So don't worry about it. Put her back in. There it is. Okay. Now with that in place, let's walk around and we're going to grab the clutch and we're going to pull it in and out a couple times to check the engagement. All right, so we got the clutch adjusted. We have the clutch cable put back in its position, which has taken all the slack out of the lever. So what we're going to want to do is you're going to want to come up here and you're going to squeeze this a couple times. Make sure everything's seated properly. Make sure you have the right amount of play, which is about an 1/8 inch. Basically what we're looking for is to make sure that we have full range of motion. It's not getting hung up on anything. Here, like I said, there is a torque spec on this jam nut. You have to have a special tool to be able to go in there and torque it properly. Basically, you have to have an Allen wrench sticking through a socket that goes over it. Truth of the matter is, if you got one, great. I don't have one. I've never used it, never had a problem. Just make sure you jam it down in there because essentially it's a jam nut for a reason. But the derby cover bolts, I keep mine torqued at 105 inch-pounds. And definitely torque them down and make sure you torque them in a star pattern, because if you don't, you can run into issues of your derby cover leaking because it won't settle right. Not over torque them, because taking them off the next time you need to get in here for any type of service, you run the risk of stripping the bolt heads. All right, so at this point they're all snug. I'm going to do a star or a cross pattern, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to torque them down to 105 inch-pounds. I believe it's anywhere between 100 inch-pounds and 110 inch-pounds, and I'm shooting the middle because this is pretty much brand new. These bolts haven't been stretched yet. Now, instead of torquing it on the first shot, I run everything down, get them close. And then on the very last pass, I go through and I torque them. I do this because you can only run them down so hard, finger tight. But then you want to seat the derby cover properly and evenly so that you don't cause a leak anywhere. I've seen derby covers come in that they have over tightened them in a circular pattern and it's warped the cover and it's just constantly leaking. You don't want to do that. And that's it. I'm just going to grab a microfiber towel. I'm going to wipe everything down. And I'm going to take it for a ride, make sure it's adjusted where I want it to be. Now, like I said, you can back that adjustment off one full turn, a half a turn to a full turn. I always go a half turn because I like my clutch to grab right at the very beginning of letting it out. It just depends on what your comfort zone is. You can adjust for that. This is one of the easiest things that you can do for motorcycle maintenance, so don't hesitate. Get out there and adjust your stuff. Go ride, have fun. It's your bike. Make it fit your riding style. Until next video, guys, I'll see you later.